There was a man who lost the woman he loved because of one sentence. Just one. They'd been dating for 2 months. Everything was perfect. The chemistry was undeniable. She laughed at his jokes. Her eyes lit up when she saw him, and he felt like he'd finally found something real. Then, one night over dinner, he said something. 5 words. And everything changed in that moment. Her smile faded. Her energy shifted. Within 2 weeks, she was gone. He spent months replaying that night, trying to understand what happened. The truth. He violated a fundamental law of attraction that the ancient Stoics understood thousands of years ago. Now, I'm going to share something with you that might sting a little. This isn't about being fake. This isn't about playing games or manipulating women. This is about understanding ancient masculine wisdom that modern men have completely forgotten. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, never begged for anyone's approval. Epictetus, who started life as a slave, never chased validation. These men understood something profound about human nature, about power, about attraction. Today, I'm revealing 5 specific phrases that destroy attraction instantly. Not slowly, not over time, instantly. Each one breaks a fundamental principle of Stoic masculinity. Each one broadcasts weakness directly to her subconscious mind. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why these words repel women at a primal biological level. If you've ever wondered why she pulled away, why the spark died, why she suddenly seemed less interested, there's a very good chance you said one of these 5 phrases. Stay with me until the end, because the 5th one is what most men say when they're desperate, and it's the most damaging of all. But first, before I reveal what that man said at dinner that night, you need to understand something the Stoics knew about female psychology that modern dating advice completely misses. Something that will change how you see every interaction with women from this moment forward. Let's talk about control. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, taught something radical. He said, there are things within your control and things outside your control. That's it. That's the line. Your thoughts, your actions, your character, within your control. Other people's opinions, their feelings, whether they choose you, completely outside your control. He called this the dichotomy of control, and it's the foundation of everything I'm about to tell you. Here's where it gets interesting. You cannot control whether she likes you. You cannot control whether she finds you attractive. You cannot force chemistry, manufacture desire, or negotiate attraction. But here's what you can control: your dignity, your frame, your self-respect, and how you show up in this world. When you understand this deeply, not just intellectually but in your bones, everything changes. Now let me connect this to something most men don't understand about female psychology. Women are biologically wired to detect neediness, not as a conscious choice. This is evolutionary programming that goes back hundreds of thousands of years. In ancient times, a needy man was a survival threat. A man who couldn't stand on his own, who depended on others for his emotional stability, who collapsed without approval. That man couldn't protect, couldn't provide, couldn't survive when things got hard. So her subconscious brain, the part that's been evolving for millennia, is constantly scanning for signs of neediness. And the moment she detects it, attraction dies. Here's the brutal truth. The moment you try to control her feelings, you lose. Every attempt to make her like you pushes her away. Every strategy to secure her approval broadcasts insecurity. It's a paradox that drives most men insane. The ancient Stoics had a concept called oikeiosis. It's not well known, even among people who study philosophy. It means natural affinity, the way things are drawn together when they're aligned with their true nature. The Stoics taught that genuine connection happens naturally when you're living in accordance with your own nature, when you're authentic, grounded, self-possessed. But the second you try to force that connection, the second you manipulate or chase or need it, you destroy it. Modern application: stop chasing, start embodying. Think about a magnet. A magnet doesn't chase metal. It doesn't beg. It doesn't convince. It simply is magnetic, and metal comes to it naturally. That's the energy of a man who understands Stoic principles: self-possessed, grounded, complete within himself. And here's the paradox that changes everything. The less you need her validation, the more powerfully she's drawn to you. Not because you're playing a game, because you're genuinely whole. So when a man says the first phrase I'm about to reveal, he's violating this ancient principle in the worst possible way. He's announcing to her subconscious mind that he doesn't understand the dichotomy of control, that he's placed his happiness outside himself, that he needs her approval to feel valuable. The first phrase seems harmless. Most men say it thinking they're being honest, being vulnerable, being real. But to her subconscious mind, it's a red flag that screams one thing: this man is not enough on his own. Let me tell you what it is. The first phrase that kills attraction: confessing your feelings too early. I really like you. I'm falling for you. I think about you all the time. Said too soon, these words are poison. Let me tell you about James. He met a woman at a coffee shop. They exchanged numbers, went on a first date, then a second. The chemistry was electric. She was texting him every day, laughing at his jokes, touching his arm when they talked. He felt something he hadn't felt in years. On their third date, sitting across from her at a restaurant, he couldn't hold it in anymore. He looked into her eyes and said, I just need you to know, I really like you. Like, I think you're amazing. I haven't felt this way in so long. He thought he was being honest, vulnerable, real. The moment those words left his mouth, he watched her face change. Her smile became polite, distant. She said something like, "Oh, that's sweet," but her energy had completely shifted. She didn't pull away immediately. She finished the date, but her texts became shorter. Plans became harder to make. Within 2 weeks, she was gone. He was confused, hurt, angry even. I was just being honest. What's wrong with telling someone how you feel? Everything. Everything is wrong with it when you do it too soon. Here's why. When you confess feelings prematurely, you're violating Epictetus's core teaching. You're placing your happiness, your emotional state, your sense of well-being in something external, in her response, in her validation. You're essentially saying, my emotional stability now depends on what you think of me. That's not love. That's dependency. And dependency repels. It shows outcome dependency. Your emotional state is controlled by whether she reciprocates. A Stoic man's emotional state comes from within, from his character, from living according to his values. When you say, I really like you, after 3 dates, you're announcing, I've already decided you're the prize, before I even know who you are. Think about what that communicates. You don't have standards. You don't have options. You're not selective. You're just grateful someone is paying attention to you. And here's something most men don't understand about female psychology. Women are attracted to mystery, to uncertainty, to the thrill of not quite knowing where they stand. That tension, that space between does he like me and I think he might, that's where attraction builds. The moment you remove all doubt, the moment you hand her absolute certainty about your feelings, the game is over. There's nothing left to discover. No tension, no excitement, just the pressure of your expectations weighing on her from a biological, standpoint, women are attracted to men who are selective. High-value men don't fall for every woman who gives them attention. They're discerning. They have options. They take time to evaluate compatibility. When you confess deep feelings after barely knowing someone, her subconscious translates that as this man doesn't have options. He's decided I'm his best chance. And if I'm his best chance, what does that say about his value? Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." In the context of attraction, the enemy is desperation, neediness, the desperate chase for validation. Don't seek it. Don't announce your feelings, hoping she'll reciprocate and make you feel secure. That's weakness disguised as honesty. Let your actions show interest. Show up consistently. Invest time. Be present when you're together. Plan thoughtful dates. Listen. But don't hand over your power by verbally declaring your emotional investment before she's earned it, before enough time has passed, before genuine depth has developed between you. The Stoics had a practice called amor fati, love of fate. Love the process itself, not just the outcome. Enjoy getting to know her. Appreciate the uncertainty. Embrace the journey of discovering whether she's actually compatible with you, not just whether she'll validate your feelings. When you're outcome-focused, you're needy. When you're process-focused, you're grounded. One repels, one attracts. So if you're dating someone right now and you feel that urge to confess, to tell her how much you like her, to seek reassurance that she feels the same way, pause, breathe. Remember the dichotomy of control. You cannot control her feelings, but you can control your dignity. Keep it. But here's what's even worse than confessing too early. The second phrase actually makes you the problem in her eyes. It makes you a burden she has to carry. And that weight? It crushes whatever attraction existed. The second phrase that destroys attraction. You make me so happy. You complete me. I need you. Any variation of making her responsible for your emotional state. David had been with his girlfriend for 6 months. Things were good, really. Good. He was head over heels. Every morning he'd text her, "You make me so happy." During dates, he'd look into her eyes and say, "I don't know what I'd do without you. You're everything to me." He thought he was being romantic, thought he was showing her how much she meant to him. He'd seen it in movies, heard it in love songs. This is what you're supposed to say when you love someone, right? Wrong. She started pulling back around month 7, became less available, less affectionate. When he asked what was wrong, she'd say, "Nothing, I'm just tired." But he could feel her slipping away. Finally, she sat him down and said something that gutted him. "You're too much. I feel like I can't breathe. It's like your entire happiness depends on me, and that's not fair. I can't be responsible for that. I feel suffocated." He was devastated, confused. How could loving her too much be the problem? Here's what David didn't understand. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, wrote something profound. The person who depends on another for happiness is a slave. Read that again. When you tell a woman, "You make me happy," you're not declaring love. You're announcing slavery. You're saying, "I'm incomplete without you. My emotional well-being is in your hands. If you leave, I collapse." That's not masculine energy. That's not strength. That's dependency. And dependency is the opposite of what creates attraction. Think about it from her perspective. Women are biologically attracted to the oak tree, not the ivy. The oak tree stands tall and strong on its own. Storms come, seasons change, but the oak remains. The ivy, on the other hand, needs something to cling to. It can't stand alone. It wraps around the tree, dependent on it for structure, for support, for survival. When you make a woman responsible for your happiness, you become the ivy. And no woman wants to be the oak tree in the relationship. She wants to rest against your strength, not carry the weight of yours. Here's the psychology that most men miss. Being someone's everything is exhausting. It's not flattering. It's not romantic. It's a burden. When your happiness depends on her, every interaction becomes high stakes. If she's tired and wants space, she's not just taking care of herself anymore. She's now responsible for your emotional collapse. If she's having a bad day and isn't warm and affectionate, she's not just dealing with her own stuff. She's also managing your need for reassurance. That pressure kills desire faster than almost anything else. She doesn't want to be your life. She wants to add to your life. She wants to enhance an already fulfilling existence, not be the only source of your joy. When you're complete within yourself, when your happiness comes from your purpose, your growth, your values, your friendships, your passions, then her presence becomes a beautiful addition, not a desperate necessity. The Stoics called this apatheia. It doesn't mean being emotionless or cold. It means freedom from destructive passions. It means emotional self-sufficiency. You create your own happiness through living virtuously, through contributing to the world, through pursuing excellence in what matters to you. She doesn't create your happiness. She shares in it. Epictetus taught, "Don't seek to have events happen as you want them to, but instead want them to happen as they do happen, and your life will go well." Apply that to relationships. Don't need her to be a certain way for you to be happy. Don't need her to stay for you to be whole. Your happiness is your responsibility, always. When you're emotionally self-sufficient, something interesting happens. She feels free. Free to be herself. Free to have bad days without managing your emotions. Free to be imperfect without you falling apart. And in that freedom, attraction thrives. She's drawn to your strength, to your groundedness, to the fact that you'd be fine without her, but you choose her anyway. That's love from a position of power, not neediness. Now, the third phrase is sneaky. Most men don't even realize they're saying it. They think they're being considerate, being a gentleman. But she hears something completely different. She hears manipulation disguised as niceness, and it repels her at a deep level. The third phrase, whatever you want. I don't care, you decide. It's up to you. Constant agreeableness. Having no opinions of your own. Meet Ryan. Nice guy. Really nice. Maybe too nice. He'd been seeing Sarah for about 2 months, and everything seemed fine on the surface. But there was a pattern. Every single time they made plans, the conversation went the same way. Where should we go for dinner? I don't know. Wherever you want. What movie should we see? You pick. I'm good with anything. Should we go to the beach or stay in the city this weekend? Whatever makes you happy. Ryan thought he was being considerate, accommodating, the perfect boyfriend who never causes conflict. 3 months in, she ended it. Her exact words. I don't even know who you are. You're like a ghost. You have no preferences, no opinions, no spine. I feel like I'm dating a mirror. Ryan was shocked, hurt. He'd done everything to make her happy. How could that be the problem? Here's what he missed. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." A man without opinions is a man without character. A man who constantly defers isn't showing respect. He's committing self-erasure. He's disappearing right in front of her. Think about attraction. Real, visceral, sexual attraction. It requires polarity. Masculine and feminine energies create spark through contrast, through difference, through tension. When you agree with everything, when you have no preferences, when you're just a mirror reflecting whatever she wants, there's no contrast, no friction, no electricity, just boring sameness. Women test for backbone, not consciously, but instinctively. When she asks, "Where should we eat?" that's not really about food. It's a test. Can you lead? Do you have conviction? Are you capable of making a decision and standing by it? Every time you say, "I don't care, you choose," you fail that test. Every single time. Here's the covert contract that nice guys operate under. They think, if I agree with everything she wants, if I never challenge her, if I'm always accommodating, she'll like me more. She'll see how easy I am to be with. But the opposite happens. She loses respect with every "whatever you want," because deep down, she knows what you're doing. You're not being agreeable because you genuinely don't have preferences. You're being agreeable because you're afraid. Afraid of conflict, afraid she'll disagree, afraid she'll leave if you're not perfect. That fear, she can smell it. The Stoics practiced something called premeditatio malorum, negative visualization. They'd imagine the worst outcomes to prepare themselves mentally. Apply that here. Imagine what happens if you please everyone. The answer, you please no one, especially not yourself. When you have no opinions, no preferences, no boundaries, you become invisible, forgettable, replaceable. Epictetus taught, if you wish to be good, first believe that you are bad. In this context, it means acknowledge the people-pleasing tendency. Recognize that your constant agreeableness isn't kindness, it's avoidance. It's fear-based behavior disguised as consideration. Here's what women actually want. They want to feel your presence, your direction, your masculine certainty, not arrogance, not domination, just the simple confidence to say, "I'd prefer Italian tonight," or "I'm not really into action movies, let's do the thriller instead," or "I want to go to the mountains this weekend." Simple preferences, stated calmly. That's it. That's all it takes to show you're a real person with real opinions. And here's the secret. She doesn't even need to agree with your preferences. She just needs to know they exist. Disagreement is fine, healthy even. What kills attraction is the void where your personality should be. Be willing to have opinions. State them without apology. And be equally willing to hear hers and find compromise when it matters. That's partnership. That's polarity. That's attractive. The fourth phrase is what men say when they're losing her. And instead of slowing the decline, it accelerates it. If you've said this next one, you know exactly how she responded, and it wasn't good. The fourth phrase that kills attraction, seeking constant reassurance. Are we okay? Do you still like me? Are you mad at me? Did I do something wrong? Michael couldn't handle silence, couldn't handle space, couldn't handle uncertainty. He'd been dating Lisa for about 4 months when the pattern started. Anytime she seemed quiet, anytime she didn't respond to a text within an hour, anytime her tone seemed even slightly different, he'd panic. "Hey, are we good? You seem distant. Is everything okay? I feel like something's off. Did I do something?" At first, Lisa would reassure him. "No, babe, we're fine. I'm just tired. Everything's good, I promise. You didn't do anything wrong. I'm just busy at work." But the questions kept coming. Every week. Sometimes multiple times a week. Eventually, her reassurances became shorter, less convincing. Until finally she stopped responding to his "Are we okay?" text altogether. 2 days later, she sent him a long message. "I can't be your therapist. This constant need for reassurance is exhausting. I feel like I'm managing your anxiety instead of being in a relationship. I'm done." Michael was crushed. He thought he was just communicating, being open about his feelings, addressing issues. Before they became problems, what he didn't realize, he was creating the very problem he feared. The Stoics taught amor fati, love of fate. It means accepting what is, exactly as it is, without resistance. Every time you ask, "Are we okay?" you're rejecting what is. You're fighting reality because you're afraid. You don't trust the present moment. You don't trust her. You don't trust yourself. You're essentially saying, "I don't believe this is stable. I don't believe I'm enough. Please convince me otherwise." And here's the brutal psychology. Every time you seek reassurance, you plant a seed of doubt in her mind. She might have been completely fine before you asked, but now she's thinking, "Why is he asking? What does he see that I don't? Is there a problem I haven't noticed?" Your insecurity becomes contagious. You're literally creating instability through your fear of instability. Women interpret constant reassurance seeking as, "He doesn't believe. He's enough." And if you don't believe it, why should she? Confidence isn't arrogance. It's not pretending everything's perfect. Confidence is trusting in your ability to handle whatever outcome unfolds. A confident man doesn't need constant validation because he knows something fundamental. If she leaves, he'll survive. He'll be okay. He'll rebuild. That certainty makes him unshakable, and that's deeply attractive. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Today I escaped anxiety, or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside." Your need for reassurance isn't about her behavior. It's about your internal state, your anxiety, your fear of abandonment, your belief that you're not enough. That's your work to do, not hers to constantly soothe. Here's what happens when you keep seeking reassurance. You create a death spiral. Your insecurity makes you ask, "Are we okay?" She pulls back slightly because the neediness is unattractive. You notice her pulling back, which increases your insecurity, which makes you ask again. She pulls back more. You ask more, round and round until the relationship is dead. You kill it with the very behavior meant to save it. The Stoics practiced negative visualization. Imagine the worst outcome. She leaves. You're alone. Now really sit with that. Would you actually die? No. Would you be devastated? Probably. For a while. But would you survive? Yes. Would you eventually heal? Yes. Would you find someone else? Very likely. When you deeply internalize that you'd be okay, even in the worst-case scenario, you stop operating from fear. You stop needing constant reassurance. And that shift in energy changes everything. Stop asking if you're okay. Just be okay. With uncertainty, with silence, with not knowing exactly where you stand every single moment. That's confidence. That's strength. That's attractive. But nothing, and I mean nothing, kills attraction faster than the fifth phrase. This is the phrase of total desperation, the nuclear option that obliterates any remaining respect she had for you. If you're watching this because you're going through a breakup or she's pulling away, you've probably said this, or you're thinking about it. Don't. The fifth phrase. The one that destroys not just attraction, but your self-respect. Any form of begging. Please don't leave. Give me another chance. I'll change, I promise. I can't live without you. Just tell me what to do and I'll do it. This is the story of Tom. He'd been with Rachel for 8 months. Things had been rocky for a while. She'd been pulling away, becoming distant, less affectionate. He could feel her slipping through his fingers. One night, she sat him down and said the words he'd been dreading. "I don't think this is working anymore. I think we should break up." Tom's world collapsed in that moment. Panic flooded his system. He couldn't let this happen. He couldn't lose her. So he begged. He grabbed her hands and pleaded, "Please, don't do this. I love you. I'll change. Whatever you need me to do, I'll do it. Just give me one more chance. Please." tears streaming down his face, voice breaking, completely falling apart. She looked uncomfortable, sad even. But her mind was made up. She left that night. Tom spent the next 3 days blowing up her phone. Long text messages about how much he loved her. Voicemails apologizing for everything. He showed up at her apartment with flowers, wrote her a letter promising he'd be different. He thought if he just showed her how much he cared, she'd come back. Instead, she blocked him on everything. Phone, social media, email, everything. And here's the truly painful part. He didn't just lose her, he lost himself. Every time he replayed those moments in his mind, begging, pleading, falling apart, he felt a deep sense of shame. He'd betrayed himself in the worst possible way. Epictetus taught, "No person is free who is not master of himself." When you beg, you become a slave to the outcome, a slave to her decision, a slave to your fear of being alone. You hand over every ounce of power you have, your dignity, your self-respect, your very identity, and you give it all to someone who's already decided they don't want it. Here's the brutal truth about begging. It confirms every single doubt she had about you. She left because she saw weakness. Maybe you were too needy. Maybe you lacked purpose. Maybe you'd become too comfortable, too dependent. Whatever the reason, something about you made her lose attraction. And when you beg, you prove she was right. You validate every concern she had. You show her in the most dramatic way possible that you are exactly the person she thought you were. Weak, desperate, unable to handle adversity with grace. Attraction requires respect. You cannot respect someone who doesn't respect themselves. The moment you fall to pieces, the moment you plead for her to stay, the moment you promise to change everything about yourself just to keep her, she cannot respect you. And without respect, there is no attraction. There never will be again. Here's what men don't understand about second chances. If you have to beg for her to stay, she's already gone. Mentally, emotionally, she's checked out. Her body might still be there, but her heart left weeks ago. Begging doesn't change her mind. It doesn't make her suddenly see your value. It cements her decision. It makes her even more certain she needs to leave. Marcus Aurelius wrote about loss. Loss is nothing else but change, and change is nature's delight. Everything in life is temporary. Relationships end. People leave. That's not a tragedy, that's nature. When you beg someone to stay, you're fighting against the natural flow of life. You're clinging to something that's already gone, and that clinging destroys you. Here's the most counterintuitive truth about breakups. The only possibility, and I mean the only possibility, that she might ever come back is if you walk away with dignity. Not as a strategy, not as reverse psychology, but as genuine self-respect. When you accept her decision with grace, when you say something like, "I'm sad, but I understand. I wish you the best," and then you actually leave her alone, something shifts. You become a man who respects boundaries, who handles rejection with maturity, who has enough self-worth to let go of someone who doesn't want to be there. That's attractive. That's powerful. That's the man she might, maybe, possibly reconsider weeks or months down the line. But begging kills any microscopic chance of reconciliation forever. The Stoics had a practice called prososh, mindfulness, attention to your values in every moment, especially difficult ones. When you're facing loss, when she's walking away, when everything in you wants to collapse and beg, that's when your character is tested. Stay present to your values. Your dignity matters more than any relationship. Your self-respect is not negotiable, not for her, not for anyone. If you've already begged, if you've already fallen apart, stop right now. Stop texting, stop calling, stop showing up. Reclaim whatever dignity you have left through silence. Begin the hard work of rebuilding yourself, not for her, for you. Seneca wrote, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." This pain you're feeling, it's the friction. It's polishing you into someone stronger, someone who will never beg again, someone who understands that his value doesn't come from her staying, it comes from within. So what happens when you stop saying these 5 phrases? What does life look like on the other side? Let's bring this together. 5 phrases that kill attraction. Confessing feelings too early, making her responsible for your happiness, having no opinions or preferences, constantly seeking reassurance, and begging when she pulls away. 5 phrases. One common thread running through all of them. They all violate Stoic self-possession. Every single one places your power outside yourself. They broadcast neediness directly to her subconscious mind, and they kill attraction at a biological level because they signal one thing: this man cannot stand on his own. But here's what gives me hope about all of this. These aren't personality flaws. They're not permanent character defects. They're learned behaviors, and anything learned can be unlearned. You can change this, starting today. Let me tell you about Marcus. Not Marcus Aurelius, just Marcus, a regular guy who made every mistake in this video. He'd confessed feelings too early and watched women pull away. He'd made his girlfriend responsible for his happiness until she felt suffocated. He had no opinions because he was terrified of conflict. He sought constant reassurance until she called him exhausting. And yes, when she finally left, he begged. He fell apart completely, hit rock bottom, felt like he'd never recover. But then, something shifted. He started reading Stoic philosophy, started understanding the dichotomy of control, started building a life that didn't revolve around female validation. He focused on his purpose, his career, his friendships, his physical health, his personal growth. He stopped chasing, stopped trying to convince anyone of his value, started simply being valuable, living according to his principles, building genuine self-respect. 6 months later, he barely recognized himself. He'd become selective with who he spent time with. He had strong opinions and wasn't afraid to express them. He could sit in uncertainty without panicking, and women noticed, not because he was playing games, because he'd genuinely transformed into a man who didn't need external validation to feel whole. Here's your path forward. 4 Stoic principles to live by. First, cultivate internal validation. Your worth is not determined by whether she likes you, whether she texts back, whether she stays. Your worth comes from living according to your values, from being a man of character. That's it. Second, practice amor fati. Love your journey, including the rejections, including the heartbreaks. Every failure is teaching you something essential about yourself. Third, embody apatheia. Emotional self-sufficiency, not coldness, not being unavailable, but being complete within yourself, so that relationships enhance your life rather than define it. Fourth, live with prosopis. Stay mindful of your principles in every interaction, especially when you're triggered, when you want to seek reassurance, when you feel the urge to confess feelings prematurely. Pause. Return to your values. Marcus Aurelius said it perfectly. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Build a life so fulfilling that a woman's presence is a bonus, not a necessity. Pursue work that matters. Cultivate deep friendships. Develop your body. Feed your mind. Contribute to something larger than yourself. When you do this, when you become genuinely whole, attraction happens naturally. Not because you're using techniques. Because you've become the kind of man who doesn't need validation to feel valuable. The promise is this: when you stop saying these 5 phrases, when you stop operating from neediness, everything changes. You become selective instead of desperate, grounded instead of anxious, present instead of outcome-focused. And that version of you, that's the man women are drawn to. If this video resonated with you, if you've made these mistakes and you're ready to change, you're not alone. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom on relationships and masculine development. Drop a comment and tell me which phrase hit the hardest. Which one have you been guilty of? Let's build a community of men who choose dignity over desperation. Next video, we're diving deep into the Stoic art of walking away. How to leave any situation with your power intact. You won't want to miss it. Remember this: the Stoics didn't chase. They attracted through self-mastery. Stop saying these 5 phrases. Start becoming the man who doesn't need to. That's where real power lives. That's where freedom is. That's where you become unshakable. Now go build that life.